hello, hello. Welcome to the news. This week, we have news of new releases, new aircraft, and even some scenery. Don't go anywhere. I am joined once again by our esteemed co-pilot and co-host. It's GibboIreland. Gibbo, how are you?
Hey Murph, how you doing? I'm loving these intros, by the way. Esteemed, I like it.
Yeah, I combined two of my favourite words, and here we have esteemed or esteemed.
Okay. I'll take it. Yeah, it's better than your man over there. So yeah, how are you?
I kind of wish I said, and it's your man over there. No, I'm good, it's good. Gibbo, it's been a week, you know, since last week, and it was all hype about the whole thing is about to happen. We're going to see new aircraft. The 737 is about to come out. Then Monday came and it was like hilarious. And now here we are. And well, it's been very, very busy. So I think to get us started tonight, well, we have news, of course, that the 737-700 series from PMDG has released. Look at the state of that photograph. I tell you, the cameraman, he's got some skills. But anyway, the 73 has indeed released. And, well, anyone who was there on Monday evening kind of saw the, some people managed to get it early. Some people had to wait a while. I think some people had to wait the next day. But in fairness to PMDG, they kept everyone up to date. They said, look, we got an issue, but let's get it out there. So we have it. It has released. The feedback generally is it sounds great, it flies great, and it looks great. Ticking every single box that you possibly want from an add-on. Was it worth the wait? My initial thoughts and feedback is yes, it is. For anyone holding out, don't forget that the 800 series, that's where pretty much most people wanted to get. That's going to be due out a little bit later. So PMDG have been releasing their update schedule. You know, it's going to be plus or minus a few days, depending on what's happening in the sim and with updates and everything else. But they're very much happy enough with the release of this aircraft, bearing in mind this is still it's a day one release, right? I mean, this is the first instance of it. So I would be expecting a couple of patches over the next couple of days. But Gibbo, we're going to feature this aircraft a little bit more tonight on the live stream. It's out. You got it yourself on Monday night. How have you been finding it? Like, what's your initial feedback for this machine?
Yeah, like you say, initial issues in actually downloading it. I think by now, literally most, if not all, issues seem to be overcome by PMDG. It's been quite an experience, I got to say, in a good way. You know, it's for me, who doesn't have the background to flying a 737 on other platforms in the past. It's been very much a learning curve for sure. Very different to the A320, which I'd be very familiar with on Microsoft Flight Simulator. And I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it as a result because it is something to get your teeth into. That is a challenge. Has that learning curve that does require you to look up things, be it tutorials or manuals or whatever else. So I'm very much enjoying it. It is worth mentioning just two quick points, Murph. You touched on them. One is, I think, from what we've seen in a lot of the avenues where we've seen the 737, it's progressed a lot since then to the final release. I think everybody notices that, particularly in terms of textures. And the second thing is, as you say, that they did say that it would be something that would be continually updated and developed, and patched and so forth. So an EFB, for example, I do believe is coming to the Dash 700 variant, but that'll come in the near future. So lots more to look forward to even with this first release. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's available on PMDG's website, of course. It's $70, and you get the 3 variants, of course, too, and a ton of liveries. So there's lots to get into with this. So I'm sure it'll keep us busy for weeks to come.
Absolutely, we're going to be flat out. We've all just become airliner pilots. It's great. But moving on, we have some footage here from our good friend AvAngel, and it's news of the Trilander. This kind of budged its way out under the radar. So what's the story here, Gibbo?
Yeah, we covered this on a previous news video. So Black Box Simulation have released the Britten-Norman BN2A Trilander, which of course is the longer tri-motor derivative of the Islander. They claim that this is study level. And of course, the Trilander, well, what can we tell you about that? It is absolutely an iconic island hopper with its great low-speed handling capabilities that will allow it to use small and unprepared runways to operate in and out of. Now, of course, you can see yourself, it's not going to win any beauty contests, but it definitely does look the part. It's not mine.
I'm just flying it for me friend. Do you know?
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the aircraft. With its long fuselage and pointy nose and 3-engine configuration, it's definitely recognizable anywhere it goes. So, Murph, I know you've got this already. I'll be interested in your thoughts in a moment. moment, but just to add before I hand over to you, that the flight model is one to call out. It does very much seem to mimic the real life counterpart, and even beyond that, Black Box have put a lot of attention into authentic fuel and electrical systems, even fully functional circuit breakers. So if it takes your fancy, head on over to the Black Box Simulations website to get your copy, and it's priced at €30, and it should be coming to the InSim marketplace in due course. So, Murph, any initial thoughts from you on this?
Yeah, like these were originally flown by pilots who wore their baseball caps the right way around. But I have to say, Black Box Simulations, they do a fantastic product when it comes to how the aircraft flies in a simulator. Like the textures they're there or thereabouts. The model work is there or thereabouts, but they fly so well. They're really, really fun aircraft to fly. And like I remember the very first Black Box Simulation aircraft that came out was like the L-19, the Bird Dog. And it was Colonel Fork who said, "Murph, check this thing out." I was like, it doesn't look great. He said, "It flies so well." And man alive, it flew so well. This is definitely one of them. And it's a very manual aircraft to fly. It, like, you know, if you were to compare this to the Islander, the BN2, it's very, very different. This thing is a lot more heavy. There's different physics at play. It's a lot of fun, and I've really enjoyed flying it. And the island hopping part, it's superb fun to fly. So, yeah, great fun altogether. So, moving on. This machine here, there it is. Look at the handy camera work here. But this is one of our absolute all-time favourites, and it is that of the Supermarine Spitfire, the Mark 9 by Flying Iron Simulations. They've only gone and released a whopper of an update, which is very much focused on the WASM. This thing now is fully compatible for Xbox. In addition to doing all of that, the change log, you've seen it here on the screen, it's massive, huge. To condense it down into like little bits, they've fixed a lot of the systems, they've tweaked a lot of the systems, and they've even added one or two. They've made small changes to the flight model, including the starter logic. They've fixed a whole load of the art bits and pieces, collision boxes for the cockpit, blur effects. And even with some of the physics that they've done, you know, if you lower the flaps, it actually blocks the air intakes and the exhaust as well. And then that has an impact on what the engine temperature and all this sort of stuff is doing. It's absolutely crazy. And they've also done a number of new sound updates as well. They've been very, very busy on this. And Flying Iron, it's like the Mark 9 or like the Mark 1, I think Flying Iron have been so proactive in giving this thing all the updates that it needs. And the fact now that the entire aircraft is now fully functional on Xbox as well. It's an absolute cracker of a simulation. So this is by far one of my most favourite aircraft. I think a lot of people love flying the Spitfire as well. And an update like this from Flying Iron, I think it's magnificent to see, because they didn't even say, "Hey, we're working on something." This was just like, we're further developing this aircraft. We're not just going to release it and you can play with it. We're going to constantly work on this. So it's fantastic, absolutely brilliant. And Gibbo, what's your thoughts on this? I mean, the Spitfire, I know you have it, I know you mess around with it sometimes. Is this like a go-to airplane for you as well?
When you're flying warbirds, yeah, for sure. I mean, this is nothing short of a major update for sure. And you know, we couldn't possibly cover everything that was included. That's why we took the easy way out and just presenting it on screen at the moment. But there's so much to get stuck into here and for you to enjoy with this update. So be sure to download it as soon as you can.
100%. Okay, moving on. More stuff.
Yeah.
This looks dangerous. What's happening here?
Yeah, F22 Raptor. Oh, yeah. So Top Mac Studios are behind this, who, of course, have provided a freeware F22 Raptor for some time now, but they're working on this, which is a premium payware version of the same aircraft, and it's expected to come out later this quarter. Now, the F-22, of course, in the real world is a closely guarded secret, so there's little known about its actual combat capabilities. So Top Mac have had to resort to a lot of research of publicly available materials to get the best out of a native model when creating this. It's been in development for over a year, they tell us, and it promises a ton of comprehensive features. So it'll have not just a great animated 3D model with high-res textures, they're also promising a fully animated and functional cockpit, as well as a fly-by-wire control system to help, create that maneuverability that you'd expect in the Raptor. So what else? Yes, it'll be capable of speeds of Mach 1.7 plus, at over 50,000 feet,
Oh.
while also being able to perform pure dogfighting maneuvers at high angles of attack. And they're adding custom visual effects as well. They sound very interesting. So they talk about the flight surface and wingtip vortexes, the afterburner heat plumes, vapor clouds when breaking the sound barrier, and more. And beyond the visuals, they are very concentrated on the VR experience as well, and it'll be exceptionally VR compatible too. And that's really it for now, Murph. So I suppose development is reaching its final stages at the moment. It's going through a beta test with a few select users at the moment, and as I say, it should be out in Q2 of this year. So too long to wait.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Like, there are a ton of other F22s of some sort of description in development already. So it'll be interesting to see who can get theirs out first. It looks fantastic. The feature list, it seems quite big. So yeah, it definitely looks interesting. So moving on, this thing, right? I did a bit of reading up on what the real world version of this thing. It was like the most dangerous of them all. And our good friends, got friends, have announced that they're working on their own rendition of the Mini 500. This is based off the Revolution Mini 500, a helicopter that just wasn't very safe. It wasn't very reliable, but we can be guaranteed that Got Friends will make this super reliable and safe to use in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Now, what's interesting about this, Got Friends have been super busy. Super busy. They're working with other developers, and they're also working on their own aircraft. Most notably, the GB got a massive update. They had the Optica. They also have the news that they're working on an F4. In addition to also having the STEMI, is it? You remember the glider?
Yeah.
And now they're saying, we'll do helicopters as well. I'm just waiting for, like, I don't know, a flying boat or something. But they seem to be super busy. So they kind of brought this out to the community, and they said, listen, we want to build one of these. We want to make one. Would you guys rather we wait for the native helicopter support from Asobo and Microsoft, or will we, put it into, Airland FS, and you got to use an external program? So people kind of sit back and said, just release the thing. But what's interesting, Got Friends have figured out some sort of jiggery pokery that they can make it work on FS or Airland FS without having the need of running an external application. Which is very interesting, because that now means if they can code Airland FS into the product, that might open the door to some of the Xbox content as well, which could be huge. You'll start seeing choppers on the Xbox a lot sooner. So they're working on this. They haven't given us a release date from what I can see, but let's see what they can do with this. Again, it's another chopper. It's a mad looking thing, a little kind of narrow little seater, and I'm looking forward to it. It's interesting to find a helicopter that had such a kind of a dodgy safety record, and they're like, yes, let's bring that out into the sim. It should be fun, So yeah, it should be fun. So moving on, we kind of touched on this a little bit on the weekend streaming, in which I covered one teeny tiny location, and I didn't really do it justice. This is news, of course, from Orbx, and they continue with the whole True Earth thing that they started this project some years ago, and they've adapted it now into Microsoft Flight Sim. The first one being Great Britain Central, and now they've come out and released Great Britain North. Gibbo, what exactly is this, and how did they do it?
Yeah, so with Great Britain North, they are focused on the northern territories extended from the Isle of Man to the south of the Shetland Islands in the north, with the goal here being to enhance the experience for VR4 flying, adding hundreds of new landmarks across, it's quite a large region, to be fair. With it, Murph Orbx are adding nearly 600 custom landmarks, which include, there's a long list here, so hope you're sitting down. So lighthouses, stadiums, castles, bridges, churches, distilleries, nice, mass military base installations, VFR reference points. The list kind of goes on and on and on. And some special POIs have been modelled with extra care, one notable one being Dunrobin Castle, which is the most northerly of Scotland's great houses and the largest in the Northern Highlands, along with 31 other hero POIs. So this is kind of nicely priced as well. It's available through Orbx Direct at the moment, and it's $15 or £12.
This is exceptional when you're flying VFR, in particular VFR. If you're in the airliners, you're going to miss a lot of this, unless like you're flying over bridges. But definitely for the VFR pilots, if you're flying anywhere in the northern half of the United Kingdom from, kind of Newcastle upwards, there is now so much more to see. Like, we kind of rambled up by Belfast, and they've added in an absolute ton of buildings. And yeah, some of them are kind of the lower lower pixel or texture, but that's just to help with performance. But the layout and everything else it's absolutely bang on. So it's a fantastic release. Come on, Orbx, and release Ireland there out of that, will you? Do you know what I mean? But speaking of Ireland, sure, look at your man, doesn't he look awful nice? Here we are in Cork, or also known as Cork, the most southern, the second largest airport in Ireland, and it is down the south. I won't say it's the most southern, it's not. The lads from Kerry will be going nuts. Although Cork, I need to get me geography. Anyway, here we are. Welcome to Cork, right? And this is from MK Studios. And these guys have already released Dublin for Ireland. So they seem to be the main developer over the Irish sceneries at the moment, because they're doing a few. This is their latest release, and it is that of Echo India Charlie Kilo, Cork International Airport, which is Ireland's second busiest airport, which is behind Dublin, but ahead of Shannon. Ideal for the new airliners, in particular with the 737, because they do operate out of Cork as well. They bring it off on your holidays, and there's also cargo to and from. The airport is in a very detailed rendition with high definition PPR textures, satellite imagery for the airport area, high resolution elevation data, runway profiles. The night lighting here is quite nice. It's the first time I've seen MK Studios with an Irish scenery making the glass transparent. You can actually see into the terminal, which is very, very nice indeed. And there's just been an update to this and also Dublin tonight. As this video goes out, they've just released a patch for both of them. It's available through Orbx. It's also available over on simmarket.com, and it comes in at a okay price of about €13. We flew here, as I said, over the weekend. I think it's a step up in what MK are able to do. I was impressed with it. It's by far the best rendition of Cork we have in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and bar one little bump in the runway that I wasn't terribly happy about, and also the control tower. Apart from that, it's a very solid add-on. So a lot of fun indeed. So if you like travelling to Ireland, and Cork in particular, the Rebel County, that's kind of where you'll see it. So moving on, Gibbo, there's even more stuff and fancy camera work here by himself. What's happening over in the world of the freeware?
Yes, fly-by-wire again, Murph. A new update, version 0.8.0, has been published in the last couple of days. And again, with it comes a ton of new features and improvements. So, by the way, Fly-by-Wire said that they don't feel threatened actually by the imminent arrival of Fenix's products, saying that there's space in the market for two great A320 simulations. So, that's, I guess they're betting on the fact that they're free will be preferred by a lot of the community. Anyway, back to the update. So Fly-by-Wire are using this update to improve tons of things, as I say, including the LNAV functionality. It now will support more leg types, and will follow the plane on paths more accurately and faithfully according to real-world SIDS and stars. Programmable holes is there too. The hydraulic system, for example, has seen a big update as well, with realistic simulation that allows, for example, the emergency power provided by the Ram air turbine, even though the 3D model hasn't been updated yet with these visuals. And then the other thing I'd just mention is that there's new textures to the cockpit as well, which should give a little more worn out look than before. So you'll see, in addition to that, some heat effects added to the engine, and even the possibility for the first officer to use the flight pad. So there's tons of more system improvements and optimizations, and again, it's worth a download right now.
I read something interesting over on flightsimulator.com in the forums, whereby someone had said, they'll never get the fly-by-wire or the fly-by-wire textures anywhere near PMDG. And from what I saw, one of the fly-by-wire developers jumped on and they said, "Why do you say that?" This is really, really exciting because there are so many developers involved with that fly-by-wire machine. Like, there's tons of them. And when you see what PMDG have managed to do, when you've seen what Just Flight have managed to do, and what we will see with Fenix, that's only going to fuel these guys' passion to say, hey, we got to do something like this. And bearing in mind that spiel about the hydraulic system, they were the first to create that. That's the only custom simulation of that hydraulic system available anywhere, I think. They've built it from scratch. So I wouldn't be writing off fly-by-wire anyway, which way or form, because these guys are only going to be more excited and motivated to keep, doing things bigger and better. And did we mention it's free? Do you know what I mean? But moving on, here is a bit of word from the developers of Fenix. And, there's a bit of news coming out from this. Amir, who's behind Fenix, has reappeared to mention that the A320 for Microsoft Flight Sim is incoming, and that he expects everyone here on his Discord, to be flying the Fenix in days, not months. So the official stance is they were waiting to see what the patch tonight for Microsoft Flight Sim has done, see what impact that has on the aircraft, and they hope to release it in the coming days. I know Fabio is due to have a kind of a first look. Who better than Fabio to say this is how it works? And we'll be keeping a very, very close eye on there. This thing, and this is what makes it interesting. I was saying to Gilbert before we went on, I'm starting to hear chatter and a little bit of kind of, bit of words coming out of some people saying that, well, PMDG 737 looks nice, but the systems aren't all that good, or at least not as good as the Fenix. So there's a bit of trash talk starting to happen now. So this could be, a battle of the giants, as it were, the A320 versus the 73. It's exciting times for us because I really want to see what Fenix have achieved, what they can actually roll out that hangar door. We've seen what PMDG have done. I think ultimately everyone is very, very happy with it. Yes, there's room for improvement. It's some which way or form. Let's see what Fenix can put out the gate. And then we can, because it's first-time developer, right? So let's see what they can do. But Gibbo, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, is this another tube-liner on your list that you're saying I gotta have this in my life?
I'll have to reserve judgment, honestly, Murph, because as you say, the fly-by-wire is excellent. I love it. It's like putting on a glove at this point. And I'd have to really wait and see what price point this is out for, as well as what differs from it that might make it a worthwhile investment. Just on the topic of price, Murph, on their forums, a user did say that they had put aside £140 for this aircraft. And Amir responded by asking how many copies he was planning to buy for that sort of money. So you can make it that what you will.
Yeah. No, it's going to be interesting. And as I said, like the chatter that I'm hearing from it isn't from the developers in relation to how I won't say how better, but just how more complete they think the system simulation is going to be on this. It's all speculation until we actually see the thing and we see it being flown. It's all speculation, but definitely looking forward to it. So Gibbo, you have news now of the recent patch updates from Microsoft Flight Simulator. It just got released tonight. What's the story? What did they fix?
Yeah, Murph, that's right. So as of today, the 11th of May, Sim Update 9 patch 1.25.9.0 was released. It was a 341 meg update through the store for me, because I have the store version. And yes, they captured a lot of bug fixes to do with, well, there's a list, so I won't go through them all, but the ones that jump out was various crashes on the world map, various crashes to do with LODs. There was some vector placement issues on the main menu. Again, the main menu seemed to cause a lot of issues. Windscreen flickering. I think we all saw that one. That has been resolved too. And various other bits and pieces to do with Sim Connect, Azure, and CGLs and loading errors there too. So it's available now.
Nice. But right, moving on, Gibbo. News of something new. What is it?
Yeah, so this is the Velocity XL for Microsoft Flight Simulator, brought to us by Black Square, who is the developer behind Real Taxiway series. The Velocity XL is an American kit airplane with a canard and pusher configuration, and it's a similar design to the Long EZ, which is now well advanced in development and is expected to release later this month. So the news on this one came to us from Just Flight, who will be publishing this product once it's available, and is followed by an initial selection of images showing the model both inside and out here. What we can see here is very much, especially the cockpit, the look and feel and the ambience that you get from this seems to fit really well with other airplanes, I suppose, that would fit in this category. Black Square are modeling a top spec Velocity XL with a 400 horsepower Continental engine capable of powering it up to 24,000 feet with a cruising speed of over Mach 0.5. And yeah, it might be a good alternative to existing turboprop business airplanes. Just to close off, Just Flight do promise to share a little more about this project to us very soon. And we do know it'll come with the stock G3X avionics suite. So there'll be lots to learn, I suppose, about this to come still. So it's a release date that's estimated just a few weeks from now, really.
It looks kind of cool. Like, I mean, it looks like almost like an evolution of the Long EZ. I mean, it's that kind of a weird and wonderful aircraft. So yeah, no, looking forward to this one for sure. So in our last bit of news, and this is kind of hot off the shelf, it's news from a developer called Cockspur. simulations, I suppose. And essentially they've hot on the tails of the release of their last aircraft, their first to come out in Microsoft Flight Sim, which was the A320. They've now announced that they're working on the Citation Mustang, another business jet. And we can see some renditions of it here, what they're thinking to do. This is going to be very, very closely met with the CJ4. But essentially what they're talking about, they want to go kind of bigger and better. They want to try and increase their capabilities of developing aircraft. And although this is still kind of early days, it does look fantastic, and it kind of feeds in nicely to the business jets that we're starting to hear more and more of. We're all waiting on the H-Jet, we're waiting on the Velocity, there's a Lear in there somewhere as well, and now we have word of a Citation Mustang. This would be like the older variant of what was out there. Beautiful plane. They have the distinct vacuum cleaner sound off the engines, but I'm looking forward to this one, and it's just a bit of news that just got released there tonight from our fantastic friends over at MSFSaddons.com. Huge shout out to Vasco, who's given us all the updates of the news and so on and so forth. But that is it for this week's show. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you found it somewhat helpful and useful and you're keeping on top of the news in Microsoft Flight Sim. We're getting into kind of like busy territory now. So well, that's it. Don't forget, you'll join us every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 1900 Zulu time over on twitch.tv/TwoToneMurphy. And until next week, take care and we'll see you soon.
Thanks for watching. Take care.